But, we got two players that really fit our culture, really can grow into this and be a part of us, as we make this push. With that, I'll open up to questions. We made some trades that I cannot speak about yet, but, overall, it's a great night for us.
Serena Winters, NBC Sports Philly. With Matisse, how much of him is you knew he could make an immediate impact, and how do you feel like you potentially got the best defender in the draft?
That was very important. We're as we know, as I've been saying all along, we have championship aspirations. So a player that can come in right now, help us play defense. We know the wings we're going to face in the East this year. So to get the best defensive wing, he shot 35% overall from three, and he could play. He can play. So we needed him. We need that kind of toughness. We need that type of culture. We need that piece that can step in right now.
Elton, Sarah Todd, Philadelphia Inquirer. There's been a lot over here.
Hey, Todd.
There's been a lot talked about Matisse as far as him switching over from that 3-4 zone at Washington to playing like a switch-heavy man defense. What are your thoughts on that? And then also about his kind of dramatic drop over the last couple seasons on the three-point percentage.
Yeah.
Are your concerns there? What are you thinking going forward?
Not concerned at all. First player in 20 years to have 100 steals, 70-plus blocks. Amazing player. He will continue to grow. He will be a shooter. He will be in this league for a long time. So we had to go get him. I'm happy we were able to get him. He's a player.
Dan Gelston, the Associated Press. Elton, why trade those second-round picks when it seemed like you had so many guys you could have used them for?
Yeah. Again, championship aspirations, a lot of young guys. The youth movement, I don't see that team winning championship. But Cap, we need flexibility. I need every dollar that I can get. So that's what a lot of those trades was about, making sure we have enough money, so we can go into free agency and get the players we need. And we need talent, and we actually pushed picks into the future that are very valuable. Like I said, there's some trades we can't talk about yet, but we got some really great value out of those, and it'll make sense soon.
Hey, Elton, Brian Seltzer back here. Can you speak to what you picked up about Matisse just as a human being? What stood out? I mean, he's obviously been through a lot in his young life so far.
Yeah, he's been through a lot in his young life. A great human being, great person. Everyone saw the story about his mother. It's tough, but he overcame all of that. Very intelligent, into photography and all types of things. He's a great young man. So that kind of resilience, Philly's gonna love him.
Elton, Dave Murphy with the Inquirer. What made you think you had to trade up to number 20? It sounds like you guys were pretty locked in on Matisse the whole time. Did you feel like other teams got wind of that?
There's actually some players we were looking at. Matisse was the one that I felt we had to go get once a lot of the others went off the board. It's like, okay, we need to move up and get this because he's that talented and that he fits a need that we need to fill. So that's why we had to fill it.
Elton, Rich Hoffman, the Athletic. It seems like every year, you guys have like 4 or 5 picks, but selling them and also trading them for future picks are kind of, what you guys do a lot. Why is that? Do you go into it feeling like you have too many picks for the roster at all times?
Not all times. This year, the optionality, it's a good thing for us at this time. Like I said, adding more youth to this team. Like we're going to develop Zaire. Jonah's developing. Shayok is developing. Now Matisse is going to develop. Like it's too many young guys with a team with championship aspirations does not work.
Elton, D-Line, I'm 97.5. I'm curious when you are dealing with a division rival in terms of making, because obviously that's what the city will talk about, but you need to do what's best for your team. But are you more wary when it's somebody in your division?
Yeah, I reached out to them, and I'm like, but I understand the past, but it's the best move for the organization. But I initiated the call, and if you look at it, it was what market rate was. Teams to move up, it costs a future second or a second.
Hi, Elton. Sarah Todd again. Many of us or other people, myself included, don't know a lot about Marial Shayok. So what can you tell us about him, how much you've known about him before and during this process?
Yeah, no, we studied him for a while. Started for 3 years at Virginia, was more of a defensive player. Then he transferred and became an offensive player, averaging over 18 points a game. Great three-point shooter. Had him in for a workout. Tough, gritty, and he can play. Young talent, and he can play.
Hey, B.
Hey.
Tom Moore, how you doing? How high did you think it was realistic for you to move up, when you were talking in terms of what you were looking for and what you had to offer? Did you have a sense of how high you could go? Could you go much higher than 20th?
There was scenarios that teams called me about, even moving up to the top 5. We didn't have what they wanted, but, they reached out and said, hey, is there any interest there? Or could you get up here? But once we got on the clock, we started looking at other players that were available, leaving and getting off the board. It's like, okay, this is about the end that we felt comfortable getting such a talented player in Matisse Thybulle. So it's like, we got to go for it.
Hey, Elton, right here. Kyle Newbeck, Philly Voice. There was open speculation in the public that you guys had promised Matisse coming in. That was process of elimination. He actually confirmed that to us on a conference call tonight. Do you feel like that hurt your leverage negotiating that trade with Boston?
Yeah, no, I understand the question. So, there's conversations with agents all the time. And, the draft is so volatile. You don't know if you're going to get who you want to get. So, as far as tipping our hand who we did like other players also, for sure.
Derek Bonner of The Athletic. On kind of following up on Kyle there, what came down to the decision for Matisse not to conduct any draft workouts? Was that something that you guys urged him to? Was that something he did on his own? And similarly, do you think that may have tipped your hand that there was a promise there?
That's his representation, Aaron Goodwin. They decided that decision, whatever they want to do. They knew we had a lot of interest because I needed a player like that. So, yeah.
As far as both players are concerned, what are your plans for them in this upcoming season? Like, are you expecting for one or both to play in the summer league, and then also contribution? What are you expecting from them on the roster?
Yeah, no, looking forward to them both playing summer league. Matisse eventually, it's going to take time, but I see him cracking that front end of our rotation. Marial, we'll see. He's definitely going to be part of our organization. We look forward to him. Being a part of us. They're young, they're talented, so I feel good about it.
Elton, when it comes to the selling of picks again, can you explain, from the outside, it kind of looks like you guys are just pocketing, money there, and it could be used another way. Can you explain what you guys, use that money for?
For sure. So let me see if I could talk about that one. So for the Justin Simmons one, it's about cap space. We put them into the TPE. Now we have an extra $1 million that we can use during free agency. And I feel like I'm going to need every dollar, so things like that. And then picks, they're worth a certain amount. And for us, I don't think we can add. Like I said, I know we can't add, 5 young players to this established team, 50-plus wins 2 years in a row, a few bounces away from going to overtime and maybe the Eastern Conference Finals or beyond. 5 young players wouldn't have worked for that.
Elton, Matisse, in the call with us, he seemed to pretty much chalk up his defensive success a lot to effort. I mean, what are some things that you've seen from him specifically on the defensive end? Are there other subtleties that he's added to his game over the years that's made him so effective on that end?
Yeah, his wingspan, of course, his feet, he moves well. Certain intangibles, hand speed. He did play zones mostly in college, but we can see where he was in the front of the zone. Just how he defended a lot one-on-one in those situations. So, when I was at the Pac-12, when we followed him, I really liked what I saw out there.
Elton, you identified that shooting and defense were areas that you wanted to address in this offseason.
Yep.
So you did get defense and shooting, but it seems like Marial's a little further down the line. So in free agency, does shooting now become the number one priority after you take care of other things? But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, it's very important. You know, the defensive part, that's where we're going to hang our hat for sure. And we need spacing, we need shooting for our players and our roster. So we're definitely going to be aggressive there in free agency. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate.